Hello, Changemaker,
Welcome to the Innovation Room.
a place for business leaders,
Change agents and change champions.
anyone who wants to know where digital transformation is taking us,
A place that sparks ideas.
and explores what's really possible with software and technology.
Ready?
Let's see what's happening.
We are in the new era of AI, no question. But evaluating the future of your business when the change has started with no warning and is happening so fast is a big challenge that all business leaders are wrestling with. So I decided to bring Geeks team to the Innovation Room to discuss how we work with our clients to help them navigate these especially challenging yet exciting times. I have Matt, our CTO, and Elliot, our Director of Product Design, with me, and we are going to record a series of episodes on the future of business with AI. The first one is about how to elevate your business vision, the approach to evaluate what is possible, and how to design the big picture of your business with AI. We also discuss the hard question of what if there is no future for your business or even for your industry with AI. I am Somaye, CEO of Geeks. Please join me in the Innovation Room with Matt and Elliot. Hello guys, Elliot and Matt, thank you so much for joining me in the Innovation Room today and having a roundtable about AI and the future of different businesses. Shall we start with our usual icebreaker? Who would you bring to the Innovation Room? And before that, maybe give a quick introduction about who you are and what you do as well. Starting with Elliot, go on.
Okay, thank you. Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for having me back. So I am the Director of Product Design at Geeks. I am a user evangelist, if you like, very much a technologist. So yeah, really looking forward to talk about AI and lots of lovely things today. The question you asked was, who would I have in the Innovation Room?
Yes, if you want to do some what we call kick-ass innovation, what would you bring to the Innovation Room to do that with?
This week I learned about a really interesting guy. We thought for many years that Thomas Edison was the first man who recorded sound. Turns out there's a French guy who was a typographer. Stenographer. He used to people would dictate things to him and he would kind of write them down. His name was Edward Leon Scott de Martinville, and somebody was writing a book about how the human ear works, and he realized that rather than him needing to sit there with a pen and kind of write down what people are saying, he could maybe make a machine that would take the sound and write for him. So he invented a very early version of the phonograph and had it made in France, and beat Edison by about 20 years. So we just forgot until recently, and people have recently, using AI, turned it into a sound file. So now you can listen to the very first sound recording.
Wonderful. It seems every now and then we find somebody who's beaten Edison to so many things. I think he just commercialized all those innovations rather than...
Just really good at promotion.
Yes.
Well done.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining. Matt, off to you.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm the CTO at Geeks, and I'm very excited to be here with you guys and to talk about AI and all the exciting things. To answer your question, I think I would bring this little guy.
Oh, if you're listening to the podcast, that little guy is somebody who's sitting on Matt's desk.
Is Leonardo da Vinci. I don't have somebody on my desk all the time. It's Leonardo da Vinci, and I really like him because I think he's a multi-dimensional person. He was an artist and a scientist, and it's a very rare combination that you get. I would have loved to talk to him about the world now and how he would see the world and the future of the world, because he was way ahead of his time back then when he was alive, and he contributed to our world in a completely different way, and that would be a very interesting conversation with him.
Can I challenge Da Vinci?
Go on.
You can challenge him. Yeah, I'm not going to defend him.
Challenge your selection of Da Vinci. He never finished anything. He
was
notorious for starting things and getting commissions and never finishing.
That is the... He had ADHD, I believe. and I completely understand why you wouldn't finish anything.
Cool. So I think it's a really good segue to what we are going to discuss today, which was the future of different businesses with AI. And I thought to start recording a series on this about how different businesses could go on and evaluate where they are, and what the AI means for them for the future, and how could they plan whatever that evolution looks like. So this one, the first of that series, I thought to bring you two guys, to, given your experience of working with different clients and in many different businesses that you have been working on, bringing AI to those businesses, helping our clients to understand how to engage with AI, how to look at their strategies and vision, and how to elevate that for in preparation of the future, the new era of AI. But we have a semi framework, or we have an approach to do that, and I thought it would be good to start sharing that with the wider audience. So why don't we start with saying, each of you, like, you can take turns, or as Elliot does, challenge each other. I want it to be more of a conversation rather than interview. So when we approach a new business, what do you guys think of when you want to advise them how to engage with AI, in terms of what is it that their business is going to look like, or how they evaluate their business in light of AI and the new era and the new world? That would be good. What goes in through your brain when you do approach such situations?
Shall I start?
Go on.
Yeah. So I think the approach that we try to take is to start as broad as you can. Samara, I know as you like to say, think globally, think about the world, think about all people in all places and in all kind of industries, and what can you learn from what's happening to apply to your own business, without sort of thinking I have to think about my region or my industry or whatever it might be. So to give you a sort of a concrete example of this, one thing I know, I've seen a lot of articles and blogs about is hyper personalization, and that's particularly sort of relevant, if you like, in the way people are talking about it in the video streaming space. So your Amazon Primes and your Netflixes and so on have been doing this sort of thing for a while, which is saying we don't just have like an old media would go, these are the shows, and people will show up and watch them if they want. It's about saying we're going to have stuff, we're going to tailor what we show to you based on your characteristics, and going, as that was parodied in Black Mirror recently, to the point of actually making a show that's kind of about your life, right? But that sort of concept, if you like, that's the opportunities have been opened up by it. It could apply to lots of different things. If you're not in the video streaming business, it doesn't mean that you can't do hyper personalization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, because that could apply to any technology, right? So if you want to think about how technology can help your business to go to the next level, you want to learn from other industries and what's happening around in the world, and what is the customer expectations. Why is it more important with regards to the AI?
Well, from my perspective, it's about the barriers to achieving those kind of things. We might have in the past said, well, this thing is only really relevant in that context, or it's too difficult to apply to a different industry or a different sector, and too expensive to do. Whereas those barriers to adopting that kind of approach are shallow. They're lower. The barriers are lower.
Yeah.
Break through.
From
Matt?
my point of view, I think it's the difference and the opportunities that AI provides. So historically, with traditional software development, we couldn't satisfy every single customer. We had to focus on the biggest chunk of customers that we had and create a system that would satisfy most of their needs. But now with AI and the accessibility that AI has, we can focus on every single individual customer and see what they need, and we have the means and the technologies to provide whatever they need. So I think when people and customers work in or use different services from different industries and see what so to give you an example, diet used to be, there are 3 different diets. You are either a vegetarian or a ketogenic diet or so on and so forth. But now there are companies that measure your metrics of your body, and then they can provide very bespoke, customized, personalized diet for you per day, per meal. And then customers see that level of service and that level of customization. They think about other services, and they think about, or they expect the same level of service from other services and clients and
Other businesses.
companies.
We're almost going backwards all the way, almost, because if you think industry started off being very tailored, like bespoke, right? You would, if you needed a chair made, you'd go and say, "Can you make me a chair?" Somebody makes a chair just for you. The 19th and 20th century were characterized by standardizing, right, and having mass production of things to bring the cost down. We're now opening opportunity to say, no, we can go back to that personalization, to say you can have a product or a service that's unique to the needs of that individual. It's that old thing about there is no average person. If you design, they used to design plane cockpits for the average person, but nobody would fit in them. There's nobody that's 5'7" and got size 10 feet. So yeah, that's interesting. We're widening our horizon beyond just different industries, but also even time almost. You can also look about how things have done in the past that may not have now been cost effective, but now will be.
Yeah.
That's
I always go on. Sorry, Matt.
That's a very interesting concept, because I was reading a book the other day, and they were talking about customization at legal level. So because people have different brains and their decision and their capacities are different, do we want to apply the same rules to everyone, or do we want to customize the legal system down to individuals? Because if somebody has a tumor in their brain, that will impact their decision-making process. Do we want to customize the legal system into that level? And that opens up all the conversations.
Even not in that level. It's like if their background and what they have had, the privileges they have had, or the access to whatever education or whatever they have had, you expect more of them than somebody who hasn't had that privilege of, it's very, very, it could get very, very complex with AI regulation, and legal systems and those kind of things are very, very complex at the moment.
So if I was going to bring that back to our industry, to software, one of the sort of differentiating Google Suite had over Microsoft was they stripped out a load of features and things like, their version of Excel being Sheets, which meant that's great because you're building a product that's for the lowest common denominator, right? Most people don't need all the power functions that are in Excel. And so really you have 2 choices. You either have the really simple version, or you have the really, really complicated version that Microsoft provides. Well, now we've got the opportunity to have some sort of gradation in between. So it depends. So it's not necessarily just about your kind of, the law being tailored to your intellectual capacity, if you like, but you can tailor software to people's level of learning, if you like, their power user status almost.
Yeah. I think it's the message is hyper personalization is becoming an expectation, and for that reason, businesses need to open up their horizon to different industries to see how that deeper hyper personalization is happening. And I think because everything moves really fast and is happening in such a big scale, businesses need to think outside their jurisdiction, outside their industries, just to learn what is happening to accelerate that kind of what is possible. Cool. So once they've done that, like there is that level of engagement, that level of review of your business within the wider world, if you like. What after that? What do they need to consider? What's the next step?
So I would then sort of take that broader thing, whatever it might be, and then try and bring it back down to a more kind of regional level, if you like. So a good example of this might be the influencers that you get on TikTok or Instagram. Right? Those kind of AI influencers are really big in Southeast Asia. What you can't do is take that idea and transplant it directly into a European or a North American context, because the same sort of idea, and if you deliver it in exactly the same way, it might not work. So you can take from that, take something from another part of the world or another industry, and then bring it to.
So what would that be? What are you referring to? Because I hear there's a bit of cultural difference, so they need to bring it and localize the idea.
Yeah,
but also I assume there is regulation, isn't it?
I think they also got the regulatory context. Yeah, so in some parts of the world, if you've got if you have some an ad, a TikTok like that's promoting something, you don't need to tell people it's an ad. It can just be an AI influencer promoting a product. Whereas within the EU, I think you do, or at least definitely in the UK, you would have to make sure you flag that and say this is an advert. Otherwise, you would fall foul of the regulations in that jurisdiction. Equally, you could you go and take it to South America. You might have the same problem. And you just.
And I think it also goes back to the to what we call digital appetite of different group of people. What you can do necessarily within your organization or within your country or within your region, it might not be accepted. It might not even be a regulation problem. It might be a cultural problem that people don't accept, that people don't want to see it. So it's thinking about the ways in which it's culturally aligned with your audience, basically, and they would see it as an improvement in their experience as opposed to opposing it and not wanting to engage with it, because that would be a shame of an investment, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
And also, I think culture is very important, because so for example, if you run a customer service center in some regions, they might not care about talking to a robot or an individual, whereas in certain countries, they might want to talk about their problems with an individual, with a human being, and how we can enable that human being to be efficient and add a lot of personalized value is very important, because we still want to add that level of service, but use humans as a proxy for the services that companies provide.
And I think there is a line I get asked a lot about, like, how human do you make the AI? Do you give it human names? Do you make them look like humans or behave like humans? And my answer is, at the moment, my answer is, well, I don't mind. I personally don't mind if they behave and look like a human, but that's a personal. I know there will be people who won't find it really, really cool to just have a robot, or be it software or physically a robot, to look like or behave as if it's a human. But I think the element that is important is it will have because it's intelligent, it's a form of intelligence. You need to give it a character. You need to define how is it going to behave. And that's the cultural bit. So for example, if I'm designing a customer service agent for UK customers, I probably would like to add a bit of British humor, because I know it would be, for example, potentially received better if it has a bit of a British humor, or complain about the weather in the middle of like whatever they talk about. But I wouldn't do that for a US-based customers or for another. So it's like that level of personalization that creates the character of the AI is also very, very important.
I think we definitely need to treat AI as an individual, because if you think about how AI is created, it's based on data that is generated by human beings. So and also whatever we do, whatever we generate, we are generating data, and that will be used to train AI. So imagine if you start talking to each other in a very rude language, the next generation of AI, all those instances will be rude because that's the only thing that they have learned. And I think they in a way they are a mirror to us, and we need to be really
And I
careful
think,
about how we
and I
treat
think, yeah, that point of like we need to be conscious of we are creating data that is going to be used to train future AIs, but also it's the culture and core value, the brand of a company as well. How do you want your, if you are having a customer, we keep talking about customer service, but it could apply in any form of AI that is interacting within your business or on behalf of your business. What is the culture of your company? What is the same way you would train your employees with your core values and the way you want to present the company, it would be the same for the AI. So I think that's really important.
My hypothesis about whether we should anthropomorphize AI particularly is I think the first thing is I don't think people would want to be tricked. So if they think they're talking to a human and not, I think that will be, deceptiveness. I think people would not enjoy. But I also agree with you that I think rather than talking to something that doesn't have any human characteristics, they even though they know it's not a human, I think people would still interact or prefer interaction with something that has more of those human
Yeah,
characteristics.
it's a form of intelligence. So you rather talk to an intelligence that has a bit of character, I think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of brands, particularly the larger ones, will have a slightly different image in different jurisdictions and different regions. So you have to think about, you don't create a one size fits all. If you've taken that kind of broad thing from another industry, brought it into your own, you might then want to adapt it to the different regions you operate in, or different countries, or maybe even different parts of the country that you operate in.
Yeah, absolutely. So fine, we've considered the wider space, the what is happening in the whole world, what is the hyper personalization. We've considered what we can legally, regulation, culturally, what we can do, what we can't do. What's the next level?
I think it should be industry, if I'm not mistaken, because we need to see what is common and what's expected in an industry, and also what is available in terms of data and in terms of hardware and software. Because let's think about delivery, for example. We talk about driverless cars and therefore driverless or humanless delivery. But what we don't think about is, can a robot get into buildings, or what are the barriers and how far we can go with AI? And we cannot achieve everything in certain industries, but we can achieve a lot of things. So, for example, in the legal sector, I really have a hard time thinking about anything that AI cannot achieve, because it's all about knowledge and the content that is available to AI. But I don't know what you guys think.
If you're thinking about industry, the important thing for me is, like you said, what are your competitors doing? But how quickly could they adopt something similar? And whatever competitive advantage you might have, how could your competitors erode that by adopting some of these things? So, just because you're ahead of them at the moment, doesn't mean that advantage that you have can't be very quickly overtaken by people just doing exactly that process, taking things from other parts of the world or other industries and then bringing them into yours. So sometimes it's going to be a little bit of keeping up with the Joneses and making sure you're able to compete, and that your business isn't going to be swallowed by the other people that are doing something different, or even new entrants. That's something we've spoken about a lot recently, is that the barrier to not even just knowledge about how to do something.
I think another important point when we talk about industry is so and it's a hard point to think about. So businesses need to dig really deep, and that's where sometimes with certain advancement in technology, some industries get destroyed, so they become irrelevant. And that's a very, very important question that businesses need to really be honest and dig in and to see, is our industries and even going to be relevant anymore in the future? And we have seen it, for example, in the past advancements of technology. Say, for example, horses were a form of like business, like the whole taking care of breeding horses, taking care of them, training them. That was a huge industry when they were the transportation, means for humans. But when the cars came along, that industry, some of it completely, disappeared, and some of it changed form to become a sport or an entertainment or a luxury kind of industry. So
I
it
was going
completely
to ask
changed.
you a question about that, Samaya. So if you, with the benefit of hindsight, if you were somebody that bred horses in, let's say, 1910, and you saw that the motor car was going to eat your lunch, your business is going to disappear, what would you advise them to do?
It depends on how much I love breeding horses. If I really, if it was my passion, then I would find a way to see if it could be relevant. So I would have probably gone to like making it a sports, like making it niche to something that I think has a future still, luxury sport experience, that kind of stuff. But accepting the fact that it's a very different business than just breeding horses for transportation and just selling to people who want to use them for travel. And that's like you need to get really dig deep and see, what is it that, like, are you really passionate? Is that the main reason you're in that business? And if not, then you pivot and create another business. You use the experiences you've had in that
Build
business,
engine.
and then you
Build
go and create like a car maintenance
Yeah. Who do
business.
you think's a modern day horse breeder?
Sorry,
Right,
say
so
again.
who needs to watch out for these kind of technologies that are coming along completely making the
That's a
business
very, very interesting.
irrelevant?
I think it's very interesting. I've had some private chats with some of the business leaders when in private we do talk about, does their industry going to
Disappear? Is it going to become irrelevant?
is it going to be irrelevant in the future? Is it not going to exist? And I think one to watch is any type of brokering,
Yeah.
just simply because the level of personalization that AI can do to create brokering, any sort of brokering business, humans are not a match for. So if I had any brokering, so say I was an estate agent who would help people, to buyer and sellers, to find the houses, I would think really hard, what's the role of human in that? If an AI system comes along and scans all the houses and all the buyers and all the massive different parameters that everybody cares about, and would create those matches and everything. So what would be the role of human? And I would, if I'm passionate, I would create a business that serves that, as opposed to the traditional brokering, buyer and selling properties.
If I think about estate agents as a really good example, though, I think that's less about their business being made obsolete by AI. But I think we've worked with people in a similar industry before, and if I remember rightly, and I might be wrong about this, estate agents, please write in, tell us we're wrong, but about half the time they're spending it in the office doing kind of paperwork, and half the time they're out showing people the properties and doing the kind of selling bit, if you like, and the advice that they give. So if you can free up more time for that human part and less time doing the admin, then you're going to be a more effective agent than somebody else. But my canary in my coal mine is going to be financial advisors. There is an element of getting to know someone and having that personal relationship with them, but essentially that any business where the product is the knowledge that you have is at risk for me.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, do you have any?
I think for me, recruitment is an area that is going to be impacted massively because the scale that AI brings. So imagine and it depends on what time scale we are talking about. If you imagine if we manage to create our digital twins, and I as an individual only have the capacity to do 2-3 interviews a day, and then probably after a couple of weeks I will drop dead. But my digital twin can do virtual interviews with all the companies literally in the world and find the perfect company for me without me even trying. And then, or at least can shortlist a few companies, and then I can go directly talk to them and find the best job.
I think you both are picking that brokering element in your examples. I think that's the trend, like anything, and it's just because AI can process so much more amount of data to create matches, like the level of different variables it can work with, the complexity it can handle is very different. But I think it comes back to any brokerage business. It comes back to, does it need a human? Do we need a human in that? And by that I mean the level of trust the human can bring to the table. If that is justified, if that's what people want, then that would become that luxury service that, if you have. So it's more of like, when we talk about, it's not so much about people who are working in those businesses, because there is going to be a transition. Even if they disappear, there's going to be it's going to take some years for it, and they would see the indication, and they can find other jobs or train other skill sets. It's more of, if you have that kind of a business and you're having business plans and you're having strategies and visions, you need to seriously think about, what does it mean to run a recruitment business in 5 years if AI does what it's going to do? Like, what does a recruitment business look like? And that takes us to the final level of our way of talking to our clients, which is, once you've reviewed the world, once you've reviewed what you can do legally, culturally, once you've looked at all the industry and like competition and how brave or advanced your industries or how backward they are and what's your opportunities there, it's about your business and what do you want your business to be, and what's the role of human in your business. What do you guys think about that, and do you have any interesting examples to share?
I think from the business point of view, in a business level, the important thing is that what are the unique values that a business can provide that is not publicly available. So for example, if a business has some private data that they developed a device that captured some data that nobody else has the data, then they have access to some level of intelligence that nobody else has. They can provide some services that nobody else has. Or if they have got, again, knowledge about the way they do things, then that is going to be a very important element that can differentiate them from the rest of the industry, I think.
I would almost want to flip the question around and say, not necessarily.
I was waiting for you to challenge something.
Challenge the premise of the question. Yeah. Flip it around and say, actually, what's the role of AI here? Because one of the things, we keep having two sort of strands of questioning with our clients, particularly. One is, what can I automate? And my answer is not ever whole jobs at the moment. I think you're thinking about, if you're breaking down what somebody does into a series of tasks, it's about which of those tasks can you take away to free people up to do the things people are good at. One of the conversations I have with our clients a lot is around not what's the role of the human, is what's the role of the AI. So challenge the premise of your question slightly, and think about it from that perspective, and not trying to say, okay, AI can do everything, what's left for people. It's about what do my people do best, and which of their tasks could be done and automated and by AI. I think it's a slightly different way of framing it, because we sometimes think, hey, these this technology is going to come along and get rid of whole
Mhm.
part of our workforce, and I don't see that at the moment.
Yeah.
The technique I usually use with our clients is that the problem with AI or that term is that because it's technical, I think it freezes our clients' brains in terms of thinking about possibilities. But to humanize AI, I usually say, imagine you had 1,000 employees that could work 24/7, wouldn't make any mistakes or minimum amount of mistakes, and they would cost you $100 a month. What would you get them to do? And they could do anything. They are the smartest people on the planet, and they know your business inside out. What would you do? And then they can think about all the tasks that they can automate.
I think it's really important because that's going back to the last part of the approach to review your business and the position of your business in the future. Going back to that, what is the role of human is not about thinking like how many people do I fire, or how do, like, it's not about that. It's about what is the essence of your business that is delivered by the human, that is really unique to the human nature and the human interaction. And then what else is outside of that? Let's look at the things that is outside of that and see what can be automated or what can be done by AI, and protect that core. So when we did our review, when we implemented this approach on our own business, we came to the fact that the role of human at Geeks has always been to create trust for the clients, for the humans, on technology and what is possible, demystify what is possible, but also inspire what is possible and show them what can be done, and what is like open up those wild ideation sessions, those things that we do that is very much they wouldn't be able to do with AI, because AI is a technology, and people don't trust what they don't know, and what they don't necessarily know what is possible with it. So we are going to protect that part. Anything else outside of that is up for automation, up for AI to take part, and we make sure our people are great at demystifying technology, demystifying that negative view that the media puts out there about technology and AI, and it's going to take over the world and we're all going to be irrelevant. It's like bringing it down, making it tangible, practical for them, that what can you use, what can you benefit from, and open up their space in thinking what they can do that they never could because they didn't have the resources, and now they're able to do because they have unlimited resources.
And the shift is that the main role of AI currently is to enable humans to do their job, and then in the near future it will be humans enable AI to do its job, because training an AI system is a very expensive and lengthy process, and we can fine-tune and train AI models in a smaller scale, and that's the part of our job in the future, to enable them to be more capable.
Yeah.
The other thing that comes up quite a lot when we think about what's the role of the human is we often think, or the conversations I have quite a lot, is that okay, we can only get systems and AI to do things where we know the rules and we can give clear instructions. But humans can deal with ambiguity, and they can kind of work their way through it and learn from examples. That, I think, that's the big difference in change of mindset for me from a world of software that we're used to, where you do have to specify the rules to the nth degree, to a world now where you just have to show some examples to an AI. This is what
good looks like.
Yeah, exactly. This is what good looks like. Go and do the same thing. We were talking to one of our clients recently about helping reduce the number of customer support queries that they get. Said, we can't possibly have an AI do that because we can't really tell that every query is different, and we can't give you some rules about what they should do with that query. And we went back and looked at it and said, well, no, actually that's not a limiting factor anymore. You don't need to tell us these are the things to look for, and this is what to do in this instance. We can just provide all the data and go, okay, great, now you figure it out. So I guess the role of the human is no longer dealing with the complex and the ambiguous. It's maybe that element of that personal relationship. No matter how much you, going back to our anthropomorphize part, no matter how much you anthropomorphize an AI, you can't build a relationship with one, or maybe there's the odd teenage boy out there that's doing that right now, but most people are not going to be building a relationship with their AIs just yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
Especially not.
Yeah. Which is bringing us really nicely to the end of this episode and beginning of the next one when we record it, which is going to be about how do you guys find AI use cases in different businesses, and we want to share that approach to the audience so they can start thinking about what to look for and how to go about finding those opportunities, how to evaluate them, and so on and so forth. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. So is there any final words from you for the audience in terms of advice on how to go about elevating their vision in light of what's happening with AI and the future of their business with it?
My advice would be start broad, think big. Don't think you have to be constrained by geography or industry or user type, and steal like an artist. If you steal from one place, you're a thief. If you steal from everywhere, then you're an artist.
Cool. How about you, Matt?
I think businesses need to take actions. AI is not something that you can get away with not doing anything, and also invest in your people and culture, because the combination of those two have to work together. You cannot have one and not the other one.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us in the Innovation Room.
We hope it sparks some ideas.
Want to learn more about what we do?
Maybe you could even be our next guest.
And spark some ideas yourself.
Find us at Geeks Limited,
And join us again soon.
because real change never stops.